Moscow was never meant to go dark, especially not during wartime and so close to the Kremlin. For years, the government has pushed the idea that Russia's capital is wrapped in a strong shield of air defense and electronic warfare. But on December 30th, that illusion shattered. It didn't come from a press release or a speech. It happened in the most impactful way for everyday people. The lights just went out. Can you believe it? A leader who promised unbreakable defenses. How ironic, right? Especially with a government that flaunted total control over the capital. But on December 30th, 2025, that image crumbled. Entire neighborhoods on the outskirts of Moscow went dark. Streetlights became just black squares. High-rise windows lost their glow. And roads vanished into the blackout. The myth of Moscow as an untouchable fortress totally short-circuited. Residents flooded the streets, their phones lighting the way. In that moment, vulnerability felt real and inescapable. The capital, usually a stage for grand displays, was suddenly laid bare by the harsh truth of war. This blackout wasn't just a minor glitch. It hit several suburbs around Moscow like Ramenskoye, Zhukovsky, and Lyubertsy, leaving over 100,000 people in the dark. Emergency crews rushed to respond. Power was knocked out, and local officials blamed it on a line accident. But the timing was just perfect, right? Reports were flooding in about a huge wave of drones from Ukrainian forces hitting the capital. Social media was buzzing with images that told a story no official statement could deny. Tower blocks loomed like dark shadows against the snow, and the streets were swallowed in darkness, showing just how resilient Ukraine really is to strike at the heart of Russia's logistical and symbolic power. Russian authorities reported that more than 100 drones were intercepted during the 4-hour window, a claim that Moscow emphasized repeatedly in official statements. Ukrainian forces, as is often their practice, did not rush to claim responsibility. Regardless of attribution, the blackout was visible, undeniable, and widely documented. The event forced the Kremlin to acknowledge that its defenses, no matter how advanced or layered, could be challenged in a manner that produced tangible effects on the civilian and urban infrastructure. For residents in the capital, the consequences were immediate. Vnukovo International Airport restricted arrivals and departures. Emergency sirens sounded across the city, and power outages persisted long enough to underscore the limits of state control. The operation itself reflected Ukraine's evolving approach to long-range precision strikes. Drones described in Russian statements were small, low signature, and capable of exploiting gaps in radar coverage, reaction times, and layered S-300 and S-400 air defense belts. Their effectiveness was not dependent on size or sophistication alone, but on operational patience, precise targeting, and the cumulative pressure created across multiple nodes simultaneously. Every radar that switched on to track the incoming waves became a potential target. Each defended transformer, substation, or industrial node required expensive interceptors to engage relatively low-cost airframes, creating an unfavorable exchange for Russia that magnified both the financial and operational costs of defense. In practice, Ukraine demonstrated a capacity not simply to strike, but to impose systemic stress on the rear areas of Moscow, an area previously considered beyond operational reach. This particular wave of attacks followed a pattern that Ukraine had been refining over months. Earlier in December, Ukrainian drones reportedly struck a major oil refinery in Yaroslav, northeast of Moscow, forcing a temporary halt in production. Industrial facilities of this size are not merely lines on a map. They are critical nodes in a wartime economy, feeding fuel pipelines essential to troop movements, air base operations, and logistical throughput. The pause at Yaroslav, confirmed by Reuters and industry sources, illustrated the operational logic behind Ukraine's targeting. Reached the points that underpin the war machine rather than chasing symbolic destruction. On December 31st, the pattern continued, when Krasnodar authorities reported that a Ukrainian drone attack sparked a fire at the Tuapse oil refinery, damaging equipment, putting a port berth offline and injuring 2 people. Windows shattered in nearby residential blocks, and responders worked to extinguish the blaze. While on paper these events could appear localized, each refinery fire reverberates across supply chains, insurance rates, and regional operational schedules, making them strategically significant in ways that extend beyond immediate physical damage. The blackout in Moscow carried a similarly symbolic and operational weight. For the Russian government, the capital is sacred, shielded by concentric rings of air defense, geography, and decades of investment in layered security. When 3 suburban grids went offline and an airport enforced temporary restrictions, it was not a minor inconvenience. It was a breach of the myth of invulnerability. The visual record, Tower blocks dark against the winter snow confirmed what press releases could not hide. Moscow's rear, once considered secure, had been probed, stressed, and temporarily penetrated by drones no larger than lawnmowers with wings the length of a surfboard, programmed with precise coordinates and time to exploit the one factor Russian air defenses cannot intercept. Time maps circulating on social media, particularly the Osteromosva Telegram feed, illustrated the sequence of the attack as a swarm of red arrows, converging toward Moscow's ring roads. Those vectors were not artistic exaggerations, but a reflection of the calculated approach Ukraine had developed over 4 years of conflict. Each line represented a potential gap, a route past radar coverage, a time engagement meant to force reaction from Russian defense systems. Ukrainian drone strikes have increasingly focused on the nodes behind the nodes, transformers, substations, industrial hubs, and transport links that sustain military operations. The December 30th attack was the clearest demonstration yet that Moscow itself was within operational reach. The broader context of the December attack shows a strategic symmetry in Ukraine's approach. While Russia continues to launch waves of missiles and drones into Ukrainian cities, targeting power grids, heating systems, and civilian infrastructure, Ukraine has adapted its approach to strike with precision and cumulative effect. Small, inexpensive airframes can inflict strategic disruption, and when combined with Western-range missiles or improvised battlefield solutions, they extend Ukraine's operational reach well into Russia's industrial and civilian heartland. Every strike, whether at Yaroslav, Tuapse, or Moscow's suburban grids, imposes a cost in time, resources, and perception, while forcing Russia to make difficult trade-offs between defending the front lines and defending the rear. On the battlefield itself, operations continue in the familiar rhythm of attritional warfare. Russian forces maintain pressure along northern axis, including areas near Sumy Oblast, though confirmed breakthroughs on December 30th were limited. In Donetsk, analysts and military experts indicate that even if Russian forces eventually capture Provsk, a long-contested objective, the remainder of the line is unlikely to collapse quickly. Ukraine's layered fortifications and defensive belts continue to absorb assaults, forcing Russia into incremental advances rather than decisive gains. Ukrainian forces, meanwhile, exploit gaps where they can, maintaining pressure not just on the front lines, but on the logistics and industrial nodes that sustain Russia's military effort. NATO's support further amplifies Ukraine's operational capacity. Despite a shift in Washington's mechanism of support, weapons deliveries have continued uninterrupted. Through the newly established logistics hub in Romania, hundreds of thousands of tons of material, including artillery, air defense systems, and electronic warfare suites, have been coordinated to ensure sustained operational pressure. NATO has effectively integrated production, procurement, and training pipelines to maintain Ukraine's resilience, demonstrating that modern conflict is as much a question of industrial stamina as of tactical skill. The Moscow blackout is also a lesson in the shifting calculus of modern warfare. It illustrates the emerging importance of denial as deterrence. By demonstrating the ability to threaten critical infrastructure without crossing escalation music thresholds, Ukraine forces Russia to allocate resources defensively, adjust air defense deployments, and recalibrate public messaging. Even limited damage at refineries, transformer stations, or transport nodes produces cascading effects across days and weeks, affecting insurance, supply chains, and strategic planning. The blackout in this sense becomes both a tactical success and a strategic message, signaling to Russian authorities and civilians alike that the rear is no longer invulnerable. Russian responses to these events have been predictable. Missile and drone strikes against Ukrainian cities continue. Industrial pressure is maintained along the front line, and nuclear signaling is periodically amplified. Yet these measures do not undo the immediate effects of Ukrainian operations in the capital. Repair crews restore electricity and air defenses intercept additional drones. But the operational and psychological impact remains for citizens. The blackout is tangible proof that modern conflict can reach their streets, their homes, and their daily lives. A reality Ukrainians have endured for years. Propaganda efforts from the Kremlin. Claims popped up about drone attacks targeting a presidential residence, but Reuters and Western officials couldn't confirm any of it. Ukraine's response has been pretty quiet or just carefully measured, showing a strategy that leans on ambiguity and precision instead of making big public statements. The visuals of darkened suburbs tell a much stronger story than words ever could. The impact is clear and speaks for itself, no narrative needed. The December 30th blackout shows a mix of smart moves and careful planning. Ukraine has ramped up its drone production, teamed up with Western systems, and sharpen its targeting to hit key spots that really make a difference. Meanwhile, Russia is scrambling to defend itself, fix its issues, and put on a show of strength while NATO keeps sending in support and resources. Ukraine is keeping up the pressure. Moscow, once seen as untouchable, is feeling the real effects of modern warfare. Lights went out, flights were grounded, and it turns out that even the most secure capital can be vulnerable with the right mix of time, patience, and precision.